Hey guys, welcome back to Philip Draws Comics. Today we're doing something a little different. It's Christmas time here, and amongst the various gag gifts my wife got me for Christmas, she bought this DC 2025 calendar at like Dollar Tree for $1.25. Joke's on her, when I open it up, it appears to be full of what I think is Jose Luis Garcia Lopez images from the DC Comics Style Guide. At the very least, it's got this really terrific pick for January. And I just thought, Christmas morning, everybody else was messing around with their stuff. Just came into the office and started coloring January's picture using just standard issue Crayola crayons. I actually experimented with using some other tools like markers and colored pencils, but as you can probably tell from looking at the video, the paper quality is extremely slick, and marker just beat it up and ran off, and colored pencils didn't even make a dent. So just kind of went old school with it and used the crayons had floating around the house. And overall, it seemed to work out pretty well. I'm rather thrilled with how the final image is. I'll show you guys it hanging on my wall when we get to the end of the video. I've seen other videos or posts online of people taking coloring book images and doing really badass coloring jobs on them, making them look like professional grade art. And I thought that would be kind of a fun thing to try to do. Normally, when I draw a picture for this channel, if I go all the way through and do pencils and inks and colors, by the time I get to the color stage, I'm usually kind of tired and kind of ready for the picture to be done, so I can start editing the video and record the dialogue and get it out there. But this was a rare opportunity to just color and employ some of the coloring techniques I've self-taught myself over the years. The way I think about coloring something comes from when I was in high school, drawing and coloring Dragon Ball Z images. And one thing that they tended to do with characters in Akira Toriyama style was each muscle was like a separate item. The bicep didn't flow into the shoulder or, the forearms. They were like separate modular pieces that were sort of like riveted to each other. And so when coloring that, I generally used like what I call tone shading, which is, a deeper, like a deep green for a darker area on Piccolo's face, and then a very light green for the area that's in light. It creates a very high contrast image. And because each piece of the body is modular, I try to do each muscle as a separate entity with all three shades on it, like a dark version of the color, a light version of the color, and often a white version of the color. And doing that gives it, to my mind, to my eye at least, a strong three-dimensional property. Here on Coloring the Flash, I try to do something a little different with each image, because if you look at it, clearly like Superman is in front of Batman and he's super small. So this isn't meant to be like an image of these guys, running into battle together. It's some sort of like, ideographic. It's a concept, not an actual attempt at a real life image. So I kind of thought, okay, well then that means all four guys should be in different color schemes or different environments to kind of highlight that fact. And so I like what I did there on the Flash's left arm, the way I did the speed lines. For the rest of the body, the speed lines are going, behind him because, he's coming from back there towards you. But with that arm, I put the speed lines in front of him because it occurred to me that, his arms are swinging. So that left arm would actually be coming up into the air, and so the speed lines would be heading towards his face because that's where his arm was going. You'll see here in a second with the Superman, I'm going to do some really strong rim lighting, putting yellow on the area where the sunlight's coming from. You know, Superman's a character that's powered by the rays of the sun, so I just thought having that high contrast yellow up against the blue would really make it stand out more, and also go a long way to, again, telegraphing that Superman is existing in a different space than Batman and the other guys in the image. I tried to do a similar thing later with Green Lantern. I had originally planned on having his entire body, like his entire image, being green, and each, you know, portion of his skin or hair and colors, costume being in different shades of green. And that seemed like a great idea until I looked and realized I didn't really have that many green crayons to work with. So it ended up just being, you know, just standard colors most of the way. Spoken before in previous videos about my preference when it comes to American comics for the work of the late 60s, early 70s Marvel artists like John Buscema and John Romita Sr. But looking at this, which I believe is a Jose Luis Garcia Lopez image, this is kind of like the final form of that style of art. Just what I call just standard American comic book style art. This is perfected, you know, how to draw comics the Marvel way style art. And he's, you know, drawing it with DC characters. That's what makes it look so dynamic to me, because, you know, for years that was sort of in the 60s and 70s, that was kind of what Marvel had over DC, was that its storytelling and its art was more dynamic than DC's, which is a little more kind of old school in the way they went about things. And so this fresh blood of Marvel-inspired artists doing DC characters really makes it stand out to me. One thing I really enjoyed about coloring, just having to color this and not really worrying about drawing it, was it allowed me to sort of look through the image, you know, with a drawer's eye. Just the way that, you know, Batman's body is posed and the way the cape is flowing around him instead of... I know for a fact that if I was to try to draw this myself, I would not have done that cape as well. And it's because I would have just had the cape flowing off to the side as like a separate entity. But looking at it now, just the way it wraps around his body like a long jacket or coat, flaring out around the hips but staying tight to his body around the shoulders and chest. It really it interacts with the form in such of the body in such a strong way that it's really inspirational to me. Next time I draw somebody who has a cape, I'm going to try to do this and make the cape part of the composition and sort of accentuate the form of the body instead of just having it floating or flapping behind the person as a separate entity. I didn't really like how that Justice League logo was just the letters floating in space, so I drew a little border around it, try to make it stand out a little more. At this point, I initially thought I was done with the image, but all that whiteness behind it kind of like it stood out to me. It looked unfinished, so I just sort of on a hunch grabbed a purple crayon and just put some business going on in the background. And I really like how it worked out, the use of purple. I don't know, with that style of art and the color scheme, for some reason that purple background really makes that look very 1970s, 1980s house ad or cover. It looks like an advertisement you would see, you know, in the pages of a DC comic for the Justice League. Well, we're heading towards the end of the video, guys. I want to thank you for watching this video and for watching all the other ones that I've been posting this year. If you're already a subscriber and commentator, thank you so much. And if you're not, be sure to like and subscribe. And I post these videos a couple times a week, generally ones of me drawing whole images from start to finish. Thanks so much, guys. I love you. I'll see you next year.